out so publicly, like somebody dug his own grave. And I think if a lot of narcissists were given that opportunity publicly, that's probably what would also happen. So I think that support has been like given me a lot of confidence to kind of start over on my own and move beyond that.
And you think that's like, if a narcissist is in public, like what eventually it will come out? Yes, or
I think it's easier to spot a narcissist in a public conflict. Like if there's a public conflict happening, I think it's pretty easy to spot the narcissist, like Kanye and Kim, for instance. You know, like, hello, that's not impossible to see who's a narcissist there. And then like Lala Kent is going through it with her ex Randall. Like that's pretty clear to see, like he's a narcissist. And so situations like that.
right. So like Kanye and like Randall, like what characteristics would one look for? Because I have a friend, her name is Vanessa Reiser. She dated Teresa's boyfriend now. So her whole thing in life is she's like she's dedicated her life to like narcissism and like narcissist survivor. Like that's what she does for a living now. And, you know, she's this guy she claims is a narcissist, and that it's going to come out. Like now he's dating Teresa, and like it's all going to come out. Things are already coming out. So it's like, what do someone look for? Like when you mention like Randall or like a Kanye, like what are the signs?
I think that when like a Randall, or like when they're putting down their ex publicly, you know, and it almost feels like desperation. Like they're losing control. And so like when a narcissist loses control, they act out. And their way of acting out is pointing the finger at others, never taking any blame. Nothing is ever their fault. The only thing they might say to take blame is, I'm sorry if I did this wrong, or nobody's perfect, or like these blanket apologies that aren't really specific, and they're not really an apology either, but they seem to smooth things over in a charismatic way that the public tends to accept, or an individual will accept. And it feels like they're being remorseful, but they're not. They're just saying what you need to hear in order to like take their side and be empathetic toward them. And then like by these grandiose gestures to others, and where the grandiose gestures is not really trying to love the other person, it's trying to get back at the one that they hate, you know, the person who's been victimized and who they're still victimizing. And like, for instance, Kanye with whoever his flavor of the week is, and Randall and whoever his flavor of the week is, and whatever they're doing, like they're like, oh well, they don't even have to say it, like, well, this one's hotter, or this one's more successful, or whatever. It's like always a one-up game, when really has nothing to do with the individual, like the new person they're after. It has everything to do with, first of all, the narcissist ego, and second of all, hurting their victim even more.
Right. Could you see signs of like a Randall or a Kanye? Like now Randall, here we are, but like, could you see signs of Kanye and Randall like before, like even before like when Lala and Randall were happy, could you kind of see things?
I don't know. I don't think I was looking at that point, but Kanye, I mean, yeah, he's got some more issues than just narcissism, but like, I mean, he has some mental health issues as well. Narcissism is a personality disorder. It's different than a mental health disorder. But yeah, Kanye, I mean, and look, a lot of people in positions of power or even fame have a certain degree of narcissism. That doesn't make someone a narcissist. It doesn't mean you have a personality disorder. Like you have to have a certain level of like confidence that could be mistaken as like traits of narcissism in order to achieve that level of success.
That makes a lot of sense to me too. And you learned all of this, like obviously, you know, just from your divorce. Like, I mean, you then went and studied all this, because
I was like in
I looked to you
recovery.
as
Yeah.
someone who knows.
I was like in recovery from it. I didn't know that I was married to a narcissist until it was long gone. And I feel like that term is overused. And so I never wanted to like call anyone that necessarily. I would like use that term, you know, to call someone who had a narcissistic trait as a narcissist. That's not how that term should be used. But once I started learning about it, then I was able to compartmentalize all of the abuse that I endured in my head, and then learn about it, learn why it happened, and then move on from it.
Wow. And I take it, like, where are things with you and Jim today? I take it not well.
I mean, it doesn't exist. Things don't exist between us.
And even like with co-parenting.
No, nothing. Nothing. I have the kids the majority of the time, like beyond the majority of the time. So I'm the parent. I mean, he has them every now and then, but there's no co-parenting. I don't even know what happens when they're at his house.
Wow. And it sounds, well, I mean, that's not, and it sounds like even though he has this new woman, like that doesn't have anything to do with like softening the way that you're treated. You know what I'm saying? Like from everything you just said.
I mean, I just like, if this is the love of his life and like the happiest he's ever been, I cannot imagine what an unhappy version of this looks like. Let's just put it that way.
Wow. Right.
Like,
right.
I feel like if you're happy with someone, like you don't attack the other person so much, but whatever. But he always did that when we were married. He did that with his ex-wife, his other ex-wife. Like, he would attack her all the time when we were married. And I was like, what's your problem, dude? Like, why do you care about her so much? Like, just like co-parent your kids together and like let her be. What's the deal? Why are they always clashing? But so it's not really a surprise that we clash, but I can't relate to it.
Right. I agree. I think if you're madly in love with someone, I don't think you care about anything in the world. I think you're just on la la land. You certainly don't care about your ex. I mean,
certainly not.
Like, get married, don't get married. I really don't care. It's not really my problem. So we have Kelly and Heather, who really don't seem to like each other at all very publicly. Who do you think is less likely to ever reconcile? Kelly and Heather or you and Jim?
Less likely. Probably Kelly and Heather. Like, I have to always hold that hope for Jim and I. And so I'm never gonna look at that in a negative way because he's always gonna be in my life. So hopefully we reconcile.
That's very adult.
He says no way. He says no way, but I still am holding out. Maybe one day he'll grow up.
I have parents that had a bitter divorce and they hated each other. And I mean, they're not like best, but you know, my sister has children now and they're grandparents and like they coexist really well now. They actually,
well, that's great.
Kind of like each other.
See, there is hope. Oh, good. Well, they created kids together, you know, that would be the ideal situation.
And they had a really bad, you know, like we were young, but like it's many years later. But so I think but that's very big of you. But he says like it will never happen. That's what he puts out there. Jim.
We'll see.